Bonsoir! Hello, salut! The first semi-final of Destination Eurovision has finally taken place. Y'all, there have been months of build-up, weeks of anticipation, growing expectations, and we need to talk about it. Are you ready? Let's do this! That is right. 9 acts sang, but only 4 are going through to the final, and they are Lisandro Cuxi with Ava, Emmy Liyana with OK Uko, Malo with Ciao, and Luca with Mamma Mia. You guys, let's take this in turn, starting with Ava from Lisandro. Porig.
This is one of those songs that, for me, I think a lot of the love was coming for the singer and his voice rather than the song itself. Because he was very strong, and he was kind of the first strong singer of the evening that we kind of had a lot of kind of competent but not mind-blowing songs before that. He was third on, so we had 2. But he sang very well. But it's kind of like we have this issue every year with the song contest. It's a song contest, not a singing contest, and you need to have both. And in my opinion, everyone fell in love with his voice, but his song isn't up to par with his voice. And I personally think that it's just a run-of-the-mill, middle-of-the-road pop song.
Yeah, it's kind of like Running by Andres Kelly Saunders, but kind of like a lesser version of it. I mean, it's got that hook of she's a single mother, and it's like, that's not a hook in a song. That's not something that should happen in 2018. But it's the thing where actually all the other people that qualified, I remember quite a bit about their performance, and I don't remember a lot about his. But he does have a really good voice. His cover was brilliant, but it's not a cover contest at the end of the day. If they revamped it a little, which I imagine they might at the end of this, no matter what, that might help. But yeah, this is probably the one that I was least impressed with.
Coming into this was my number 1 snippet. I liked that hook. It sounded great. But then tonight, when I heard it live, it did go down a little for me. It was my number kind of 2 or 3, probably number 3 of the evening. And it's just the single mother thing. When you're a native English speaker, you latch onto that. You're like, why is he singing about a single mother? And I get that, he's singing about women, mothers all over the world, trying to elevate sa vie, like all that. I get that. But it's just the single mother thing grates on me. I think he is a performer. He can dance, and he has ambition. Like you can tell he's ambitious. He's very sweet and nice and polite, but he wants to win this thing. My sister said that in our video, and ever since she said that, I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. He's got swagger. He's got confidence. All right. In second place was Emmy Liyana with OK Uko. Amazing. Porig.
Yeah, she was definitely the first one of the night that I kind of had to stop what I was doing, which was basically bitching on Twitter, but to pay attention to what she was doing, because she really has a voice that's like kind of unique, and it captures your imagination and your attention instantly. The song as well is quite strong. I don't think the song is as strong as her voice, and I think that was a recurring problem, that the songs just weren't as good as the singers. But I thought the song fitted her better than Lisandro's fitted him, and there's something more distinct about her, and especially with the international juries, she was doing very well. For some reason, the French jurors kind of didn't catch on to her to the same extent. They were giving her kind of mid-table rankings, whereas before the French juries got involved, she was battling it out with Lisandro for the top spot. But she had that kind of swagger on stage, and she has this unique look, and I don't know, there's something special about her.
Yeah, she's got the charisma, which means that even though it was an entirely French language song, it didn't matter. She sold it just through her performance. I think that there was elements of everybody's staging weren't quite right. Like, it was quite a small stage, so you can't tell a huge amount about how some of them will do at Eurovision. But you could just see, like, she will be able to fill any stage. She's got a great voice. I love, love, love that song. I really, really enjoy it. Yeah, this is by far and away my number 1 of the night. And I genuinely, I hadn't heard any of the snippets beforehand, and she came on and just blew me away straight away. So yeah, big favourite of this one.
She really grew during her performance because initially I thought she was quite timid and nervous. And she said that, you know, she's a very shy person and singing is the one place where she kind of feels free. And then she really owned it. As the song went on, I was blown away. She is good, and she's got that pink hair, it's cropped, she looks great. It'd be very original. Like, I don't feel like there'll be anyone like her at Eurovision. She's a one-off. This song is my number 2 of the evening. I think with time and more confidence, she could, you know, push this even higher if she does go to Eurovision. All right. Next, in third place, we have Malo with the song Ciao. He sang in English for his Australian mother, French for his father, and Italian because he's recounting a lost love, and the song is all about you gotta pick yourself up and move on.
It's a very Marmitey song, I think. When the song started to appear online over the course of the morning on Spotify and Deezer and YouTube, that was kind of the song that everybody was raving about, and I was listening to it and I was like, oh, it's fine, but it's not impressing me that much. Then when he sang it live, I was like, oh, this is so good, this is definitely the best so far. And then by the end of the show, I was like, oh, what did I see in it? It's got a very British sensibility about it. It's the kind of thing that I would imagine it's like a mixture of Tom Odell and Jamie Cullum with a bit of Coldplay in, doing kind of a weird voice at the same time. And he's very unique. And it's kind of a bit like a more poppy, more mainstream Rafael Guilazzi, who sang for Italy in 2011. It's that kind of piano vibes. And it's kind of probably latching on to kind of the real music that Salvador Sobral was going on about back in Kiev. But it's a bit more accessible, I think. But it kind of has a bit of humor value as well, because there's a point where he's singing some words, I don't know if they're French or Italian, but it sounds like he's going on and saying, I'm horny, I'm horny, I'm horny. And that's kind of the hook of it. And once you hear it, you cannot unhear it.
While thrusting at the piano, no less. So you don't know what's going on behind those ivories.
He is very much Chris Martin at the piano, which is weird considering he looks a bit like Mick Hucknall from Simply Red, which was an odd juxtaposition to see on stage. It really annoyed me. I really didn't like it at all. I don't like his voice. I didn't like his mannerisms. I kind of feel like it all mashed into one, so I couldn't work out what he was singing. And I think even Amir, I think, says something like, you know, maybe just stick to one language if you're going to do it, because 3 languages in a song just doesn't sound right. And it did just all sort of blur into one by the end. But I will admit, he clearly has a lot of passion. He has a lot of charisma. And I remember him, not necessarily for the best reasons, but it was a very memorable performance. And that, you know, there will be people who do like it. So altogether, that's a good package.
Far and away, my number 1 of the evening. Thank you for that setup. He's just really cool. Like, you just want to be his friend. He looks like Josh Jackson from Dawson's Creek, but then with sideshow bob hair. I don't know if y'all know who I'm talking about. I just think he's very memorable. He looks great. He sounds great. The song, to me, while it does sound British, it also sounds very unique. And like, since the show ended, that's been the one I've been humming. I don't know what I'm humming, but it's like, it's great. I think with staging, this could be really good. I'm thinking of the Makes for some reason, maybe because they had a piano, but this is like way more interesting and way more kind of under your skin. 2 of the 3 French jurors put this number 1, I believe. Only Amir didn't, perhaps to Chris's point. Yeah, to me, this is magic. Magique, as they kept saying over and over, magique, magique, magique. Well, honey, it is right. Très magique. Hooray. Okay. Now, in 4th place, and this came at the very last minute, we have Luca with Mamma Mia. He is the last qualifier. And with the international juries, he was not going through, but then Amir gave him a massive 10 points, which kind of took me off guard. I must say, this is one of my favorite studio snippets of the snippets we had heard. I haven't heard any of the 3-minute studio versions. But then live, I felt like the chorus kind of let me down, or his voice let him down, rather. And it just felt a little amateur and basic. However, I think he looks real good. He's real sporty, easy on the eyes, and he can sing, but maybe in this setting his nerves got to him. So if he's able to kind of improve vocally for the final, I don't think he's going to go to Eurovision, let me just put that out there, but I think he can be proud of his performance in the grand final if he just does some tweaks and kind of grows in confidence, I guess.
Yeah, I think Amir scored him so highly because he saw a little mini me. Because he was basically like trying to be a knockoff Kenji Girac or Amir, and it was kind of that kind of boppy French pop sound, except it was kind of like I did French in school, but my grasp of it is very poor. But even I could tell that the lyrics weren't great because he was like a, and that's just like going and we'd be mocking a Belarusian song for having those kind of lyrics. So like, French is his language. He should be coming up with better stuff than a. And there was another point he kept saying, was it "I'm coming on" or something like that? I don't know, but it felt like. It felt too generic. It didn't have its own personality, and I don't think it deserved to get into the final four.
So I really liked it at the start. The first verse came on, and I was really enjoying it, and then it just sort of very like throughout the song, it just went further and further, lower down, and he seemed to get more nervous, and his vocals were going, and it got really repetitive. I think that maybe, there is a chance that he will improve it, because I think that if he could do a better performance, then that would lift the song up entirely. But if he was nervous now on a live final, then that's going to be even worse for him. So I'm not too confident about it. I enjoy the song. It's not one of my favorites, but I thought it was fine. But yeah, it wasn't anything too special, but I probably would have had it in my top four.
And now we turn to the non-qualifiers, and we'll be a bit more succinct here. In fifth place was Eila with J. Crew. She missed out by 2 points. She sounded fine when she was performing, but I have to be honest, I don't remember the song. I just remember if she had on some blue heels, she would have had the French tricolor with that red top and those white pants, or pantalon, whatever you call them. Yeah, it just passed me by. And also, she kind of looks like Noe, these two blonde women, and so I'm always confusing them. And so maybe that was their undoing.
Yeah, I think both of them, they both had nice French songs, and they were both kind of in the same vein of Alma last year. And that was probably their downfall, that they both were the same genre, and they both looked like they could be sisters. And so that probably split the vote, that if you liked that look and that song, your allegiances were split. Yeah, but I wouldn't have minded either of them in the final ahead of Luca, but they wouldn't have been winning it anyway, so it's no great loss that they're not there.
Eila murdered Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper, which is one of my favourite songs of all time, so she was an immediate no-go for me after that. But actually, I did like the song a bit. That would probably maybe have just scraped into my top four. Noe, I thought was really good. She has a lovely voice, but the song let her down. That song is not right for Eurovision in 2018. It would have been much more Eurovision 1970 and still wouldn't have won. So I kind of feel like out of everybody, I would love to see her back again, next year, or do something different, and just have a better song, because she really impressed me in the cover, but no, nothing in the actual song.
Yeah, her voice was on point. That song should be in like a movie like Amelie during the credits. Like, there's something very commercial about it in that sense, but it's not right for Eurovision. I totally agree. And in fact, one of the jurors even said, this is like Salvador Sobral in that you're trying to be authentic to your country. However, this is much more redundant and repetitive than his song was. So that hurt. All right. And then there's a massive dip in the scores. We go from Noe with 26 points to Mazzo Paradise, 6 points. He was nervous. He was awkward. It didn't work. He doesn't have the swag for that song. I'm sure he can sing in a different setting. This was just not his day or night.
Yeah, like the song itself wasn't too bad if you listen to the studio version, but he killed it on stage. And not in a good sense.
Yeah, his falsetto just wasn't working for me, and he also he was wearing like a car seat cover as a jacket, which was also off-putting.
Ania, I'll Be There. She was trying to do Tropical House. I wasn't listening 100% because I got so bored, but I think Isabel said she was a caricature of a pop song or a caricature of a pop star, but there was something special in her. She was always trying to make things nicer. This was just not good. She was trending in the top 10 on Twitter France after her performance, but I think for the wrong reasons, which is sad.
It reminded me of Kasia Moss's song in Poland, in the sense that Kasia Moss kept on going on about fire and desire and wire, and this woman was going on about dare and air and scare, and that didn't help.
She looked kind of lost on stage as well. Like it looked like she didn't know what she was doing. And I'm like, she is a very good performer. I think she's one that I've seen before, but it just didn't work. It just completely fell apart.
And speaking of something that fell apart, or rather was never together, Pheno Men, this was a disaster. I'm sorry. Maybe it's because Motown is American, so I've always heard that. This was just derivative and bad. And I'm sure they'd be great for weddings, or like your kid's birthday party, or like your high school graduation, but not for Eurovision.
Like, the show was already over 2 hours long. They could easily have had 8 songs and nobody would have cared, because Phenomenon added nothing to the show, only a few bad puns on their name. Nobody liked them. That style of music never works in Eurovision, because if you think of Belgium tried it, I think Latvia tried it, somebody else has tried it. It's just awful, and they were not good.
No, it was the vocals, the harmonies weren't right, which is the whole point of a group like that. They barely all sang together. It was always one person going off, and then it was the kind of act that you would see get eliminated in week 1 of X Factor, which is pretty much what happened to them in this case. Like, they finished last, and honestly, it was probably deserved.
Well, that's what we think. What do you think of the 4 qualifiers in France? Did your favorites go through? Did Luca deserve the last spot? Which of the ladies or gentlemen would you have given that spot to instead? Let us know here on wiwibloggs.
Make sure to subscribe and switch on the notifications.
And make sure to like the video and comment down below.
And we will see you later. Bye.
Bye.